slouchiness. Aren't they rad? Hello and welcome to the Fairy Little Knitting Podcast. I'm Marsha, also known as Fairy Little, and this is my podcast all about knitting. Welcome to all you new subscribers, and welcome back to everybody who's been here before. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about a couple nearly finished objects, also a couple new designs, and we'll touch on the knit along, which begins tomorrow, and then a little bit of jibber jabber. So let's get into it. Since November, I have been working on a new design, and it is not completely done yet, but I wanted to share it with you today because if I don't share with you the stuff that I've been working on that is designs, then I would have nothing really to show you. Because I've only done 2 rows on my cabled cardigan that I showed in the last episode and that I'm going to be working on for the cable knit along that's coming up. So this project is a new project. Well, a new design. I started it in November while I was away, and it was just a great travel project. It was great to have on the plane and buses and boats and trains everywhere. It went everywhere. I cast it off. I still have ends to weave in, and I have the finishing to do yet because it's not quite done. But what it is a giant circular shrug, and I will show you some really nice photos when it's completed, because it's almost there. But it is huge, and it is like a giant hug for sitting on in your favorite chair or on your couch while you're knitting and just cuddle up in it. And it's just so comfy. It has an extra wide neckband at the top, so you can see that, and it just folds over nicely. And it's just this nice, cozy, snuggly, just loveliness. You could use a shawl pin on it. There's a bunch of different ways to wear it. It is very long in the back, but there's a couple different ways to wear it so that it's actually shorter in the back as well. I love it. I wanted to create something that I would just wear all the time, and it's great for in the spring or the autumn, or even a summer night that's a little bit chilly. You can just throw this on. It's a fingering weight shrug, I guess I would call it. It's a fingering weight shrug. It has a nice big armhole. I'm going to actually add some length to that just to finish it off. It's not going to be a long sleeve or anything, but the pattern will include an option for making a longer sleeve should you wish that. It will also include 3 different sizes because it's so large and it's meant to be worn large. There'll be a small, medium, and large size, but there's tons and tons of ease, so I don't see anybody as having an issue fitting it because it's essentially a giant circular shawl with armholes. So it doesn't have to close in the front or anything. So there's no buttonholes or anything. It's just something you could just throw on and just snuggle in. So I'm super excited about this. I will need a few test knitters, and I'm going to assume that it will take a little while to get it to test knit just because of the sheer size of it. It's about 5 skeins of a fingering weight yarn. The yarn I used in this one is Sweet Fiber, and it's Sweet Merino Light. There's 434 meters, which is 475 yards in a 115 gram skein. So it's a 115 gram skein. And it's 100% superwash, and this is the smoke colorway, and this one is a single ply, so it's not applied yarn. I'm going to knit it again. I think this would look really beautiful with like a variegated yarn or like a tonal or something that goes from like a blend, so it goes from one color to another to another to another. I think that would be gorgeous, and that might be what I do for the next one, is something that just transitions beautifully to different colors. I think that would be I think that would be beautiful. So I'm hoping to have this pattern available. I just need I need to find test knitters, and then they need to test knit it. Any updates or anything. It's, I think the longest amount of time it will take is to actually get it test knit, I think. And I just need, a person for each different size to test knit it, and then it will be available. So I'm very excited about that, and I've been wanting to share this with you for a while because it actually has been the primary thing I've been knitting on for the past couple months. Whenever I've picked up something to knit, it has been this, and I did the collar. I finished that a week ago, I believe, and I really wanted to share it with you because this has been my passion for since November, because it's what I took with me. I took 5 skeins of yarn, I took my knitting needles and a notebook and my creativity, and off we went. So that's the first almost finished object. The next almost finished object was actually an unfinished object from my shelf, and I pulled it out as in I brought it out, not I ripped it out. I didn't frog it. And it had gone away because there was something that I wanted to change about it. And so I just decided that I would finish it as is, and I would work out the extra details that I needed and what I planned for it for afterwards. And so I did that, and I finished these the other day. I still have ends to weave in again. I just need to have a end weaving in party. This is going to be a new design that will be coming out in probably the next month or so. All my ends are sitting here. I will do some final pictures, but these are brioche slouch socks. So they are they are as bright as they can be, and I'll show you my next pair after. But so what I decided is I wanted them slouchier, and that's what had stopped me from finishing them, is because I wanted them slouchier than I had them. So my next pair is definitely slouchier, and that was the goal, is to have some slouchiness. Aren't they rad? I'm super excited about them. It's brioche, and it's only for a section, so it's a perfect opportunity to practice some brioche, and then you go right back into the knitting. It has a heel flap and gusset. I'm just going to show you like this. So it has a heel flap and gusset decreases, and it has my favorite toe that I do. So I'll be writing this up. There have been a couple changes. It's not going to look exactly like it looks here. It's going to have a little bit of a difference. I'm very excited about it. The next one, so these are actually knit out of, this is really difficult. These are knit out of Cascade Heritage Silk, and this was leftover yarn from a colorwork top that I knit. So I had they're probably 275 gram skeins that I used, and this one is the pink with the green background, and this one's the green with the pink background, and they just look so nice together, and I'm very happy with them. So here they are. And I have cast on another pair that has the changes that I wanted to make, and this pair is knit out of Knit Pick Stroll Brights, and this is the Hot Tamale colorway, is this one. And when I ordered this, I actually thought it was red, but it's more of an orange. And then I have this other color that I'm using, and it's Drops Fable, and it is color number 105. So these colors together look fantastic. So here is what it looks like so far in the brioche section. This is going to definitely be slouchier, and I'm very excited because that was my goal. I want these to look like the socks that we used to wear in the late 80s, early 90s. And I was in central British Columbia, so we were like 3 to 5 years off of what the trend was. So it was probably 1985 was when slouch socks were actually in. But I wanted to do some nice 80s, 90s inspired slouch socks to go with some cool shoes and that have some play in them. So I'm very excited about these. This pattern will be, again, I will need test knitters for the brioche socks. So if you're interested in that, drop me a line and I will contact you, because I'm going to need a couple different people to knit a couple different pairs. And just to make sure the clarification is, just make sure all the details are clear, because I would really like to get this one out. So that is my work in progress. Now I want to talk about the knit along that's starting tomorrow. It is a cable knit along and it's beginning tomorrow and it ends, so February 1st, 2019. If you're watching this 3 years down the road, it's 2019. It goes till March 31st and it is a cal and a mal, so make along. So if you are a crocheter and you can do cables with crochet, have at her. You can join in. All of the details are in each of the threads. There's 3 of us participating, the Knitting Annihilator, and Vanna Wilhelmil, who is Babbles Traveling Yarn, and myself are hosting this cal. There's tons of ways you can win prizes. I go into all of the details. I go into more detail about it in the previous episode, so if you're just catching up, go to episode 80 and take a peek and learn all the details. I will also have all of the links down below, so you can go and take a look at all of those places. But in honor of the cable knit along, I am wearing my Kalosh pants, and they're by Andrea Rangel. And so you don't have to knit a sweater, but you can. You can knit whatever you want. So you can knit pants, you can knit a hat, you can knit socks, you can knit a sweater, you can knit a scarf, you can knit a cowl, anything with cables. It's open season on cables. It doesn't have to be something that you start tomorrow. It can be a work in progress. The goal is to get these cabled things off the needles or on and off the needles. Up to you. Tons of prizes to win. Grace has graciously offered a yarn prize, which she will be sending directly to one of the winners. I've also been contacted by a bag maker, and she's going to be sending me a bag for a prize, which is amazing, and I will talk about it as soon as it arrives because I want to show it to you. And I've already started collecting a bunch of different prizes because I want to give out a beautiful prize package. There's a lot that I'm going to be giving away. I'm so super excited. That is it for the knitting content. That was super fast. Now into jibber jabber. So I have been listening to some audiobooks. I know I say that all the time. But I just finished Anne of Avonlea and Anne of the Island, which is by Ellen Montgomery. I've been going through the Anne series again. It is one of my all-time favorite books, and actually now I see it through a different light. I always saw myself in Anne, even though I did have parents and I wasn't adopted, but in the person that she is in the books, I related to her so much. And now I'm reading it from another perspective, and each time I read these books, it's been from a different place. So I read it as identifying with Anne, and then I read it as identifying with Marilla because I started looking after kids who weren't biologically mine, and so I could see where Marilla was coming from more, and now I'm reading it again, going through it, just Anne's personality and being able to see the things that I was drawn to as a child, that I saw myself in her, is just, it's a whole other experience, because she has a lot of things that are very, they could be very Aspie traits. And so reading it again, I can see why I identified so much with her, because of certain personality traits that she has and I have as well, that or I had, have had. And it's just interesting to read it from that perspective. I've also started watching the Outlander series again, and I started listening to the Outlander audiobooks again. And that's a series that it did take me a while to get into. It took me a couple years actually to get into the books, and I finished the books. I was almost through the books when I started watching the actual series. So I think they were in season 2 already, 2 or 3 before I started watching the Outlander series, and it did take me a while to get into because I can't gratuitous anything I struggle with. So just on a like, it hits me emotionally in a really weird way that I have to desensitize myself to some things. And now that I have, I enjoy it. So it's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's totally understandable, but that is just sharing what I'm doing now. Okay, so I think that's it for me for today. I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing week, and I hope that everything is going well for you. There's a whole section of Canada and the United States that are freezing right now. I hope that you can warm up and that things improve. Where I grew up, I've been watching the news about what's been happening with the weather, and where I grew up, we would in the winter, it was very normal for it to get to minus 35 Celsius, and we would have a wind chill of like minus 60 or minus 70. So it's very interesting that how it's being portrayed in the news. But I just find that interesting. So, but I hope that you guys all warm up, because it is a little bit chilly out there, and cover your faces because frostbite is horrible. So I hope you have an amazing day, amazing week, and I will see you next time. I hope you join in the knit along. Don't forget to follow Grace and Akira, Vanna Willamille, Babbles Traveling Yarn, and Knitting Annihilator over on Instagram. Follow their YouTube channels and take a look in the Ravelry groups and threads. Post in there. You're going to have so many opportunities to win prizes, and we are so excited to bring this forward to all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time.